Good morning. Our hand today is going to be 10-8 offsuit in the big blind. So in this hand, we have the small blind, open raises to 2. So it's effectively a min raise. Raise first in. He's playing 41-9, pretty loose right now. His raise first in's that at the small blind's 27%. So 3 out of 11. I think you can probably judge that he's somewhat wide. I mean, probably not as wide as he should be. This is 35%. I kind of think he's going to do it. He's going to put in this min raise with like all of the aces, probably the suited kings or Broadway, connectors, pocket pairs, that type of thing. Do I think he's going to raise larger with premium hands? That's a good question. We do know he's loose, that when he calls out of position, he tends to lead a lot. Probably has had some success early on where he bets and then everyone folds and decides, oh, that must work. So, we don't really have a good hand. I think against a lot of people, I just fold this. But against this player, I kind of feel like he's going to c-bet a lot and then give up on the turn and give up on the river. So with 10-8, it's not in our 3-better call range when we're up against a small blind. It's just out of it. But I think this is kind of like a hand. I think some of these hands, like 10-8, I think these are all hands that you could possibly go ahead and call here, with the idea that we might be able to take it down, call with the flop and then take it down on the turn with a bet. So I did call, and again, not super proud of it, but we're heads up. We're heads up against a loose passive player, basically. Flop is 10-5-4, so we flop top pair, which is pretty good. We have to worry about overcards because Villain had a lot of overcards in his range. So Villain goes ahead and bets 2. So same size as his raise. What do I think he's doing this with? He's going to be doing this with a huge part of his range. If we just say pair plus, it's only 40%. You could see he's going to miss a lot. And I do think he's going to do it probably with like all overcards, all gut shots, all pairs, and that gets us to 72.5. And maybe he's even wider than this. Maybe it is closer to 100%, but I think we'll stick to 72%. This is definitely a board that could help the caller a little bit better than the pre-flop raiser. However, I think pre-flop raiser, the caller usually doesn't have like overpairs, like big overpairs. So you just know that I think small blind has range advantage at this point, since he has all of those big pairs and has pocket tens. I kind of think, as a big blind versus blind, we're raising pocket tens. So he bets. What should we do? I think this was a mistake. I think I'm coming up with a mistake. I believe I called here. I believe I called because I thought I'm ahead of his range. I've got top pair. He might continue betting, but based on a c-bet sets, I don't really think he does. I think he's going to bet and then give up with all of his unpaired hands. And the problem is that we have to dodge an ace, king, queen, or jack, which, it's not quite half the deck, but it's quite a bit. So I think when we look at raising ranges, I'm not sure if I think we're raising with top pair, probably middle pair. That's your 5. I think maybe that's it. And bottom pair gets us to 33. I think we play aggressively with that. That leaves pocket pair below the board and our draws as calls. So 30%. I just feel like 30% is a lot. But I think it would be a mistake not to raise the sets, because I think this player could possibly call with any of his over pairs, and I think with the sets, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping he has an over pair and will pay us off. So yeah, I kind of think 30.4. That's going to be our raise, and it's just these bottom pairs. I guess when we think about, what are we calling with? I guess we're only calling with some equity. Not even sure if we should call with king queen. So we got pocket pair below the board, open ender, gut shot. I think if we call with the 2-card backdoor flush draw, we're calling with some other equity here. Hands that could kind of improve to the flush and also pick up a straight. But can we get a straight? Yeah, ace 2. Yeah, we're on the gut shot with there. Yeah, so I guess if the turn brings, let's say, a 3, then all of our 2s will connect. I think we're going with like 9-7, 9-8, 8-6. All right, so I think that's going to be our calling range. So I think I messed up by not raising here. Our calling range is definitely going to be weaker, but I think if we raise, we hope to find the hand, make it a little bit easier. If he calls, then on a turn card that's less than 10, I think we can bet again. That helps us, and I think we're betting again, kind of hoping, judging where we're at, we could. I think it's more protection. So that's not a card that we are hoping for. I think that's actually a pretty bad card. So now if we raise and he checks to us, I think we just check back. And then if he on the river, if we have another Broadway, and if he bets, I think we just fold. We give up. So what does villain do? Villain bets 4. So this is a little unusual for him to continue betting like this. So I do think he's probably not betting with any of his draws. I think it's going to be top pair plus. Not even sure if he's going to bet, jacks and 10s. I think with the queen, he'll probably just get scared and check call. So I think just top pair plus, and I think with 10-8, we're okay to fold. With our calling range, so I think we should probably fold here. But with our range that got us there, I think folding would be too weak. We've got do have top pair in our hand. We have flush draw in our hand. We still have open ender straight in our range. So I think we call with those. I think the gut shots are probably not going to make it. So we're getting 3-1 on our call. We need 25% equity. I think flush draw and open-ended straight draw will get us that, because I think we can get another 4 big blind bet on the river. I think our implied odds are there to get those. Gut shots, I don't think we're going to make enough if we hit the gut shot. I mean, it's hidden. It's possible. I think a flush, if it gets there, I think the flush and the open ender is probably the least one to pay off, the least likely hand to pay off. Flush draw will be hidden, because that means we would have to have called with a backdoor flush draw to get it. With our gut shots, I just don't think we're getting the odds to draw. I think our gut shots are going to be part of, our flush draw that we could possibly connect with, or the open ender. So I think that's going to be our calling range. Again, I called here, and then the 4 connects, and That was actually a good card. So if the turn was a 4, I think we could continue betting had we raised. If that 4 comes on the turn, I kind of expect Villain to check everything unless he has a pair. So we miss. Villain 2 checks. Again, kind of passive. I don't think that says anything. I think a full house bets and quads bet, but I think overpair, good 2 pair, top pair, I think they all check. They're all, for some reason, scared. I mean, that's how a lot of these loose passive players play. They get panicked anytime the board gets semi-scary. They check, and they're going to be light, but they're likely to call. So do we go for a bluff here? I don't think so. I think Villain's hand is too strong. Once he bet the turn, he's representing he has some sort of value hand. So I think we check behind, which I'm glad we did. And he shows ace 5. So I didn't have ace 5 in his range. I got it out. So I kind of had this weak pair I tossed out. So if he calls weak pair, does he call with all weak pairs? Maybe. If he does that, then we've got the 4 clubs. I still think he's got way too many hands that he's going to call with. Yeah, I think he's got way too many hands that he was going to call with to think about value betting. I don't know. So I'm going to stand by my claim. I think if we raise, that actually works to our advantage. It shuts him down. On the queen, we could just kind of check behind, go for value. When he bets, we call. So I think we pick up some more money. As played, though, I think I kind of got lucky. I didn't think he would continue c betting with that, third pair effectively. Yeah. So once he checks, what's our value? Do we even have a value range? Well, I think it comes down to what hands is he going to call. I think it comes down to what hands is he going to call. So if he calls with, top pair plus, no, this is not a value bet. And as you can see, top pair plus is 37.4% of his hands. Because I do think he's going to bet the full house. Maybe even 3 of a kind, actually, now that he has it. So if we bet, he's calling 30%. What more? So if he calls, we're beat. If he calls with jacks, we're beat. So 33.2%. Thing we're looking at is this middle pair, and we're beat by all of those. So really, it's just these weak pairs. If we bet, is he going to call those? So we're at 55% right now, and that raises it up to 86%. So we're looking at, 33%. Would he call? I think we're kind of close to maybe making some thin value, but based on the size, definitely I don't think we bet pot. I think we would have to do like quarter pot, maybe a little bit more than quarter pot. Half pot gives us, we need 33% fold equity, which I think that works. We're not getting that fold equity, but when called, we're getting close to that 33%, win when called. But I still think that's too thin. So I like the check behind. All right, so on this hand, don't really like the call back on the flop. I think we could have played aggressively and bet. If he folds, he folds. But I think we're targeting hands like this against a passive player who might just kind of check on turn and river anytime the board starts getting scary. And you can see on the 4, it did. The river got there with that 4. He got scared and started checking it down. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you do, look tomorrow for another.